Welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're going to start our custard. Custard is pretty easy. Just a few ingredients. Cream we're using today. You can also use half and half or milk. Got egg yolks, a little bit of sugar, tiny pinch of salt, and today we're going to do a vanilla custard. Now I'll show you two methods here. Half this custard we're going to turn into creme brulee. We're going to cook that in a water bath. Nice gentle cooking technique. Keeps the custard nice and smooth. Put a light dusting of sugar on it. Then we'll torch it, get that nice crackly crust. You know, break right through, a nice texture enhancer there with the custard, the smooth creamy custard, that nice crackly sugar top. And I'm also going to show you how to make frozen custard. Real easy, little at-home hack as long as you have a food processor with a special attachment. There's like a cheese grater attachment. You can make your very own ice cream or frozen custard without an ice cream maker. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our cream, about 3 cups here. I'm going to put it on the stove. I'm going to heat it to about 150, 160 degrees. What we're going to do with this cream is we're going to what we call temper our egg yolks. So if you just heat the cream up and boil it, and it's above like 180 degrees, 190, eggs cook just like poultry, like 165. So you're going to end up curdling the eggs if you don't temper them correctly and gently with a nice warm cream or milk mixture. So we've got our egg yolks. Got about 3 cups of cream on. Got about a dozen egg yolks here. Add those to our bowl. We're going to add our sugar, a pinch of salt, and since we're making a vanilla custard, we'll add a little splash of vanilla. Then what we're going to do from here is we're going to whisk this together while our cream heats up. We're going to get all the sugar incorporated. We're going to whisk it until it's nice, light, and fluffy, nice pale yellow. Another thing you want to do is work with a nice heavy bowl, so when you're whisking it and tempering and you're pouring your hot liquid in, your bowl's not going everywhere. I'm going to show you why here. I'm using this nice earthenware bowl, nice and heavy. Now if I take a stainless steel bowl, and now granted there's no eggs in here, but I'm whisking, even with the eggs, if I only have one hand, if things spinning around like crazy, goes wild. Lose your egg mixture all over the counter. You don't want that. So we're just going to keep on whisking this. Going to whip it to incorporate some air. Nice and airy, dissolve that sugar, get a nice homogeneous mixture before we start tempering. All right, so we now have our cream heated. Gentle heat, we didn't want to scorch the bottom, don't want it to taste burnt. We have our egg yolks and sugar mixture whisked together. See how it's turned a nice pale yellow. Now again, I said about a heavy bowl. Now if you don't have one, what you can do is you can use a wet kitchen towel, paper towel, straighten it out, make a little nest here with it. This is going to keep your bowl in place. Set your bowl down in there. And even if you have a heavy bowl, that thing's not going anywhere now. Okay, now we've got our warm cream. We're going to slowly add it, so a little bit at a time. What we're doing here is we're gently increasing the temperature of the egg yolk and sugar mixture by gradually adding our cream and tempering that. A little bit at a time. You can add about half this cream, and then we can add that mixture right back into the cream. We can add our egg yolk mixture right back into the cream and whisk it all together. And again, slowly tempering so we don't curdle the eggs. Whisking the entire time. Okay, thinning out, very nice. Okay, now we have tempered our egg yolks. Now that that's tempered, we can go ahead and bring this over. And now again, we can just add this. If you wanted to make this custard right on the stove top, you can continue cooking it at this point. Now that we've tempered and added this back, we're going to strain it now to get any large clumps of sugar or anything that might be left out of there. Okay, now we have our custard base. All right, now just have to strain it. And you see all those bubbles? We're going to strain it. We're going to let it rest to let all those air bubbles come out. Make a nice, smooth, creamy custard. We'll refrigerate this for a few hours. We'll come back and we'll cast it into our jars, and I'll show you how to make some frozen custard. So, our custard base is rested. You can see how the bubbles have dissipated. Nice and smooth. What we're going to do now is what we call casting. We're going to cast the custard mixture into our ramekins here using little mason jars. You can use glass ramekins, porcelain, ceramic, whichever you have. Put them right up to the edge there. Now if we were doing this traditionally, we would put these in a roasting pan and bake them with a water bath, that's what they call. It's when you put something in a pan, then you're going to fill the pan up with water. I'll show you here. So if I was doing it in the oven, I'd place them in this pan, fill the water up about halfway on the actual dish, bake it in the oven at 325 degrees for about 40 or 45 minutes until it's fully set. The water bath just ensures a nice, even, gentle cooking instead of a lot of direct heat just from a dry oven. The water just dissipates the heat and allows you to have a more, like a nice creamy consistency in the end, a nice smooth custard. What I'm going to do them sous vide in a water bath, which will be fully submerged. So I've got my ball jars with my lids. Put that in there, make sure your seals are nice and clean. I don't want any water getting in there. And what I'm going to do here is just going to go fingertip tight. Just a gentle tightening on there. Don't want to overdo it, don't want to break it. Now what you also want to consider is your jar temperature. If I took this straight out of the refrigerator and it was cold, I wouldn't want to put this into a water bath already preheated because it could crack the jar. Again, the same thing with the tempering that we did with the yolks. You want to make sure your jars are tempered so you don't break them and then have a water bath full of custard. Now we've got our creme brulee, which is going to be in these jars. And then we're also going to do our ice cream base. Same thing. This time we're going to do it right into a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. And we're also going to sous vide this. Now if you didn't sous vide the ice cream base, you would have to cook it over the stove top gently, probably using a double boiler, which is a pan set over another pan with water. Again, another gentle heat to cook the egg custard mixture. So we've got it in our bag. You can see those little flecks of vanilla in there for our vanilla custard base, which will be our ice cream now. Okay, we have our circulator set to 176 degrees. It's a good temperature for a custard. Getting a little steamy there. We're going to put our frozen custard base in first. We're going to use what we call the water displacement technique since we're not using a vacuum machine. If I put it in like this, you're going to get a big air bubble and it'll float. What you want to do here is open the bag up just a little bit and the water will actually force the air out of the bag and give you a nice seal. Whole way down, all the air is out, essentially vacuum sealing it just by using water. Okay, now we want to gently lower our creme brulees in here. I'm going to use a pair of tongs, again making sure my jars are tempered. We'll just set these into our water bath as well. Make sure they're even. Setting evenly. Okay, now we've got our custard base and our creme brulees in there. Gonna let these go for about an hour and a half. We'll take them out, chill them down, and then we're going to freeze the custard base and then process it, and we'll finish the creme brulee with our nice sugar shell. Time to finish up the creme brulee. Patience is paid off. We've got our custard here. Did it for about an hour in the water bath. Again, same technique can be used in the oven if you need. Also have our frozen custard here that we sous vide, chilled, and then froze overnight. Now, open this up. You see the custard is fully set. Now, we have to add the brulee to the creme. So we'll sprinkle on a little bit of sugar. Going to run it around, get a nice even coating. You don't want too much. Pour off your excess. And now, the fun part. Careful. And make sure your container is warmed up a little bit. Again, keeping in mind tempering everything here, from the egg yolks to the custard to the dish. If you take this dish right out of the cooled refrigerator and introduce this really hot heat to it, you take the risk of breaking it, and we don't want that. So you can see we're starting to get some bubbles as the sugar starts to melt. And what we're doing now, we're looking for caramelization. See it's starting to brown a little bit. We're just constantly moving it, getting an even flame on it. Don't want to focus the flame in one spot for too long because you'll burn. Okay, and it's going to start getting brown. Nice caramelized sugar top. Starts to bubble. Okay. A little bit more. Alright, look at that. I'll let this cool just for a couple minutes. While that happens, we'll start getting our ice cream base ready to process. Show you how we do that here. So, just need to take it out of the plastic. And cut it up into chunks that will fit into our food processor. And now our food processor, you see we have the shredder attachment on it. This is our first step of processing the ice cream or the custard. Put these in there. Don't want to overload it. Turn it on. And we'll just shred it right in there. Okay, we've got our creme brulee here. Nice bruleed caramelized sugar. Crack into it. Look at that. Nice, smooth, creamy custard with that caramelized sugar top. Now over here, you can see our custard base. Pretty much looks like shredded cheese. Now I've attached the regular blade attachment. Put that back on. smooth texture, nice consistency. So we'll start to go around. What we're doing here is essentially aerating it. Get a nice texture rather than a frozen chunk. Turns into a scoopable ice cream, frozen custard. Now let's take a look at this. You can see the difference now at this point. Nice and smooth, creamy custard. There you have it. Homemade frozen custard.